right, the third project that we're going to be doing is called the painting project. And your objective for this one is to create a painting using letter, number, and logo designs. You'll be using all 6 color schemes that we're going to go over in this unit to paint, and you will have to include blending and mixing as part of your painting. Here are 2 examples of previously done projects for this one. I feel like they look very different, and it just kind of depends on the way you tackle this. Yours could be very different. Yours could look very similar to this one. This one, I get ones that look more like this more often than ones like this, okay? All right, so the notes and vocabulary, there's quite a bit here, so stay with me, all right? So color vocabulary, you've got a hue, which is the name of a color. We see hues at their purest and brightest. Values, which are a hue that can be lightened by adding white to make a tint or darkened by adding black to make a shade. You're going to need that later. Intensity is the brightness or dullness of a color. The intensity can be changed by adding a color complement. Now, we haven't talked about color complements yet, but color complements are just 2 colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. There's an example of that later on. All right, color relationships. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colors are green, orange, purple. Your tertiary colors, or sometimes you'll hear them referred to as intermediates. They are yellow-orange, red-orange, yellow-green, blue-green, red-violet, and blue-violet. You know that they're the tertiary colors because they're made up of 2 words. They're hyphenated, okay? They're made up of 1 primary, 1 secondary, okay? Pure values, which are neutrals. This is black, white, and gray. Brown is also a neutral, but it's not a pure value. Okay. Here is an example of a color wheel. You will probably need to refer to this quite a bit as you're working on this project, but this should help. All right, so color mixing. Primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Primaries are at their truest hue. They cannot be made by mixing any other colors from the color wheel. You'll notice that in your packets, I gave you 5 colors: red, yellow, blue, black, and white. You should be able to take those colors and mix any other color on the color wheel. That's why you were only given those, okay? The point of this project, I want you to learn how to mix your own. So your secondaries, you're gonna need to be able to mix. The colors can be made by mixing equal amounts of 2 primary colors. So if I wanted to make purple, for example, I would mix red and blue together. I would use the exact same amount of each. I'd put them together and I'd make purple. Same thing with green. I would use yellow and blue. And if I was trying to make orange, I would use red and yellow. Okay. When it is time for you to do this mixing, on the worksheet that is in your packet as well, it tells you these color relationships at the very top of the paper, so you should be able to mix them without having to revert back too much or Google it. All right, so tertiary colors, these are made by mixing equal amounts of a primary and a secondary. So I would take red and an orange that I made, mix those together, and I get red-orange. Okay, and that's the same for any of the other tertiary colors. Black, brown, and gray are kind of weird, okay? You're gonna be surprised that you can actually make black by mixing equal amounts of red, yellow, and blue. It'll kind of be like a greenish tinted black, but it's black and it works. Brown, add red, yellow, and blue with a little bit more red to it, and it'll kind of turn brown. And if you add red, yellow, and blue together with a little bit more blue, you'll actually get a gray. It's a very dark bluish gray. All right, color schemes. You're gonna need to know these and you're gonna need to be able to use them, okay? Complementary colors, you heard me mention that before. These are 2 colors opposite each other on the color wheel. So for example, red and green are directly across from each other, so they are color complements. Yellow and violet, straight across, color complements, okay? Monochromatic is 1 color in various hues and intensities. So 1 color from the color wheel plus black and white. So if I were to take, say, red and add a little bit of white to it each time and get lighter, lighter, lighter versions of red, that is a monochromatic color scheme. And sometimes we add black to make darker reds, okay? But you can do that with any color on the color wheel. All right, next one. Analogous colors. These are 3 colors in a series or in a row on the color wheel. So say I wanted to use yellow orange, okay? Yellow orange, whatever's right next to it, which is orange, and whatever's right next to that, which is red orange, okay? So I get the three colors directly next to each other: blue, blue, violet, violet, okay? You know, any three that are right next to each other. Okay, triad, three colors an equal distance apart on the color wheel. So like red, yellow, and blue are an equal distance apart on the color wheel. Also, green, orange, purple are an equal distance apart on the color wheel. I want you to notice something about the word triad. When you hear the word tri means three, okay? So the way I count out a triad color scheme, if I didn't want to use green, orange, purple, or red, yellow, blue, I would pick the color I wanted. So maybe I want yellow, yellow, green. Pick that color, and then I count three. 1, 2, 3, I get red, orange. 1, 2, 3, I get blue, violet. So I get blue, violet, yellow, green, red, orange. Okay, that's another way to count them. All right, your warm colors are the colors on the right side of the color wheel, where yellow, orange, and red are most predominant colors. And your cool colors are the colors on the left side of the color wheel. Blue, purple, and green are the most predominant. Think about those words. If it's a warm color, when you think the word warm, you think of the sun, you think of fire, okay? What color is the sun? What color is fire? Reds and oranges and yellows. If you think of cool colors, you think of snow. You think of, blue being like an icy color, right? So blues and purples are cool. All right. For painting, you got to know the parts of a paintbrush. So parts of a paintbrush, if you look at a paintbrush, all paintbrushes are going to be roughly the same. You've got the bristles on the end, that's what you paint with. You've got the ferrule, which is the little metal thing that holds the bristles on to the big old long thing that you hold on to, that's called the handle, okay? The idea is you shouldn't get any paint on the ferrule or the handle as you're painting. All the paint should stay right on the bristles. Okay, how to paint. Okay, so for paint control, hold your paintbrush like a pencil. Okay, so not like that. Hold your paintbrush like a pencil. Keep paint on the lower half of the bristles. This aids in control as well as cleanup. As a rule, you should paint from background to foreground, meaning everything that's in the back furthest away from the viewer, you paint that first, and then you paint everything closest to the viewer last. If you have more than one color in the background, paint from light to dark. Lightest color first, then to your darkest. And the reason you do that is because lighter colors are easier to cover up if you need to. Darker colors are not easy to cover up. So if you make a mistake, trying to cover over a dark color with a light color is near impossible. But if you do it the other way around and you mess up that light color, you can always go darker. If you use light pressure on your brush, you'll get a thin line. More pressure fans out the bristles and spreads a thicker line. It's difficult to paint a line, but you can paint between two lines. So think of it this way. It's easier if you outline an area, take your time, outline nice and crisp and even, and fill in the middle, that'll go faster. It's just like markers. That's what the next sentence is. If you outline an area, then fill it in, you will have sharper edges. If you need to mix a color, always begin by putting the lighter color first and then add little bits of the darker color to the lighter color. What happens a lot is if you go the other way around, lighter colors don't go as far. So when I'm trying to mix up a color, if I start with the dark color and I add light color, add light color, add light color, you're not going to see a huge transformation in the color because the darker color always takes over. So what you do is you start with the lighter color and you add tiny bits of the darker color, and then you're going to be like, whoa, that changed really quickly. We want to make sure that you don't mix up too much paint, okay? And that you get the right color the first time instead of having to work at it, okay? A light value adding white is called a tint, and a darker value adding black is called a shade. We are going to do a worksheet centered around that idea. You'll be using tempera paint for this project. That is a water-based paint. That means that it can be thinned or washed with water. Tempera paint dries to a chalky finish. This also means you can't layer it or it will crack. Now, you can layer tempera paint to an extent. You can't build thick layers of tempera paint. Okay, you can do a thin layer and a thin layer, and that will be fine. But if you do thick paint and let it dry, and then thick paint on top of that and let it dry, you're going to end up with cracking. Always clean your brushes immediately or it will ruin them. And believe me, I have seen this done far too many times. So cleaning your brushes. There is a cleaning demonstration right here that you can watch. But for those of you that just want to hear about it right now and watch the video later, swish your brushes in dirty paint water to get the excess paint off. So as you're working, you should always have a little cup of water next to you so you can swish the paintbrushes. Okay, so you swish off the excess paint and take them to the sink and run them under water using your hands to loosen all the paint on the ferrule and handle. You shouldn't have paint on the ferrule, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Tap them on the sink bottom under the stream of water. When the water runs clear, the brush is clean. Store them bristles up to dry in a cup. If you store your paintbrush bristles down, what will happen is it'll bend. The bristles will bend. And when they dry, they're going to be bent like that. Okay, and you're going to try to paint with it, and you're going to be like, what's wrong with this paintbrush? It won't work. Wetting it isn't going to help. If you dry bristles up and the bristles are nice and straight like that, they'll stay that way when they dry. Okay, again, cleaning demo so you can see it happen. All right, supplies. For this project, you're going to need a 12 by 18 piece of manila paper. That's the one with the orange dot. You're going to need a water cup, paper towels, tempera paint, which is in your pack, ruler, paintbrushes, painting worksheets, which are in your supply pack, newspaper or something to lay out on your table surface. You can use a trash bag or I'm trying to think, wax paper, just old pieces of paper. You can tape several pieces of paper together and create, something just to protect your workspace, and a pencil. All right. Step-by-step instructions. You are going to complete all 3 of these worksheets. I've given you an example of what they should look like right here so that you can look at these as you go. There is a demonstration video of me doing these worksheets so that you can watch along with me and do it along with me. Number 2 says, on a piece of 12 by 18 manila paper, put a 1-inch border. Again, a video if you need it. In pencil, build the bones of your painting. Inside the border, draw out the following: 3 bubble block letters. Each has to touch 2 of the sides. 2 bubble block type numbers. 3 large outline designs or more. Make sure everything overlaps, making lots of spaces to paint in. Here is a video of me doing that step just so that it makes a little more sense. Number 4, divide your paper into 6 sections using straight or curved lines. Nothing too crazy, okay? For each of the 6, choose which section will be painted in one of the color schemes listed above. And they're right here for you in case you need them again. Label them and note the colors that you're going to use for that. This is a video of me going over that. Begin painting each section according to the color scheme chosen. Each shape that is made from the overlapping needs to be painted a different color. You may use colors more than once in each section, but not right next to itself. Remember, you can add white to all the color schemes given for more tints. Number 6 says, be neat. Also, make sure you choose 1 space in each section to do some blending. And here's a video of me doing that. Let it dry, wash your brushes. Again, here's that cleaning demo in case you need it. Fill out a critique sheet when you're all done. For grading, I'm giving you 10 points for your border, 20 points for your letters and numbers, 20 points for your color schemes and divisions, 20 points for your blending, 10 points for craftsmanship, 10 points for creativity, and 10 points for your critique. For submitting your work, put your name on all 3 worksheets and photograph them in one photo like I did with my example. Number 2 says put your name on the front of your work inside that 1-inch border, photograph your work. Number 3, complete a critique sheet. You can either write out your answers on lined paper and photograph it, use Kami to complete it and upload it, type your answers in a Google Doc and upload it. Upload your critique, your photograph of your worksheets, and the photograph of your project to Project 3 in Google Classroom.